On the island of Newfoundland, upon the southwest coast, lies the little town of Virgil, to whom I'll sing this toast. There are so many highlands that lie just off her shore, and when the cold north wind blows, you can hear the billows roar. The people from the village make their living from the sea. They like their independence. It shows that they are free. Some fish in their small boats in the wind, the rain and sleet, while others make their living on the offshore trawler fleet. They've known their share of tragedies down through the years, and when the memories overcome, they show their grief with tears. For they have lost some loved ones to the furies of the seas, for heartaches and heartbreaks are locked in memories. This village has got beauty carved on its rugged shore. 7 miles of pure white sand, who could ask for more? The mountains and the valleys where the rivers run so fast, and the salmon rise to the sportsman's fly as he makes another cast. Now the people of this village love their native home, for anyone who goes away oh surely will return. Just like that lifelong mystery, the answer you won't know. What makes this rugged village burn so deeply in your soul? What makes this rugged village burn so deeply in your soul?
Good evening, and welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight in our stories we have Santa Sea Update, the TIOW Project, Summer Sports Camp, Town Council Report. Please stay tuned for these stories after this.
Beautiful blue sky.
Our skies are changing. The pollution from our cars and trucks is a major cause of climate change. It could change life as we know it. Trees help by removing carbon dioxide, but our urban areas need more trees. By planting a few trees every year, you'll help keep our skies just the way they should be, clear and blue. Trees do their part. We must do ours.
Doris Pink, chairperson of the Santa Sea Committee, dropped by the studio to give us an update on next week's Santa Sea Festival. In our studios tonight, we have the chairperson of the Santa Sea Committee, Doris Pink. Good evening, Doris.
Hi, Maxine. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming down. So next week is big week, Santa Sea Festival's happening.
Oh, it's the big week, and we're getting all excited about it. And just hoping that we get good weather, but if we don't, we'll handle that too.
Oh, yes, very good. So what kind of things you got on the go? Any updates?
Well, yeah. Well, we've got, I guess most people around town have seen somebody pushing tickets at them, but we got the tickets. I told you we were going to have them on the year's free cable and the barbecue and the Deacon's Bench. And I think sales are going well. Like all the Lions Lioness members have got them. So those are going. And and we've got our buttons are in, our Santa
Okay.
C buttons. Now, we've had the keychains and little magnets in the stores before, but they were leftover ones from the other Santa C committee.
Okay.
But these are our new buttons, and we got them in this week. They're in all the stores now, and they're beautiful. Little picture of the beach on them. And they're $2. And if you buy them, you'll support the Santa C committee, but you'll also put yourself in line to win a lot of the draws in the afternoon. Like now you can, like the buttons and the keychains and the magnets, fridge magnets, they all come with a little slip of paper. So if you buy any of those, you put your name on it, and your name goes in the draw, and it's in the draw for all 4 days, right? And also, if you don't want to buy any of those things, and if you just want to help the Santa C committee, or win some nice prizes, if you put a donation, a minimum of a $1 donation, into the donation box at the park during the festival, your name will also go in for all of the afternoon draws. And the afternoon draw, like the sponsors have been fantastic. Like I think we have there's 20-something draws every afternoon. And we've got fry pan sets, steak knives, cordless drills, car wash kits, sheets, blankets. Well, we had T-shirts and hats and that as well. But unreal the kinds of things that we have that your minimum $1 donation or ticket, on the buttons or the keychains. So should be fun.
Oh yes, that sounds good. So, and you got your schedule all planned out and everything?
Well, yes, and I'm going to leave a copy of the brochure here with you, and I'd appreciate it very much if you would just update the daily events, just highlight what's happening every day and what time it is, like the dinners and stuff, the stuff that is away from the park. If you're at the park, well, we can let you know what's happening, but, if you just want to go to the community center or the fire hall, it'd be nice to have the schedule on television, if you'd be so kind.
Yes, so that's not a problem at all.
Okay.
And what about games? I've heard you mention games before.
Yes, we've got 8 games. We've got I can't remember them all probably, but fish pond, plinko, beanbag toss, basketball, the golf, the hole in one. There's 2 wheels, a raffle wheel and a horse race wheel, and that's 7. That's not bad. And there's one more, but I can't remember what it is now. Sorry, I can't remember what it is. But anyway, and there are prizes, most of them are geared to the kids. There's 2 of them are 50-50, like I said, the raffle wheel. Well, that's, it's a spin, so if the wheel is filled, there'll be $32 comes in on it. And you win half of it. So you on the spin, you'll get $16. Now, if the wheel is not filled, you may only get 14 or 12 or 10, whatever's on that, but you get half of whatever's on that spin. So, and there's another one, the horse race, it's a wheel game as well, and you bid on the horse, and if your horse comes in, you get half of whatever's on the wheel, the same thing, right? So, and we've got student workers, like the ones from the arena, the ones from the communities and schools, the bookworm people over there, and the young man from Arbor Authority, and the ones at the museum, and they're all giving us a hand with those games. Because 8 games means you're going to have 8 people there all the time, and the games are you'll get a armband similar to the one that you get when you go to the dance. And the armbands cost $5. And they're good for 6 games. So they'll just have a little hole punch, and when you get 6 holes used up, that means your armband's not good anymore, right? So so hopefully, we'll have 1 student then on each of the 8 games, and it should be smooth and should be fun. It's an addition for the kids, something that we haven't had before, and I hope it goes over well. I've been all over the place looking for prizes, but. Yeah, so
that's good. What area of the park will they be set up in?
I'm hoping they're going to be set up right next to the the grandstand area. That would be ideal to me, one side or the other, or up towards the little playground area, somewhere in that enclosed space. I'm hoping that they will. Now, the park people. I guess perhaps they'll have final say on where we can put them. I don't know, but that's where I'm thinking they're going to be.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right then. And you also mentioned something about the washrooms and overflow area and that kind of
yes,
stuff.
yeah. Well, as you know, every year, like there's more people come in than can actually be accommodated at the park. So we've always made the area by the community center and the arena. We've made that available as overflow camping, and so we've always had. Oh, no, I say we, but the committee, the former Sand and Sea Committee, they've always had 4 portable toilets. Now 2 at the park and 2 in that area for the overflow. Now, obviously, the ones at the park weren't used very much because you got the big comfort station there. They just wait in line and use the flush toilets, or they have those other little wooden toilets all around as well. But so they decided this year that they didn't need any at the park, and I can appreciate that. Like, you know, I wouldn't use a portable toilet with the comfort station there either.
Yes.
But we still need them for down at the arena, you know, that area of town. And normally this was a cost that was shared between Sand and Sea and the parks people. Because they weren't going to have them at the park, then they weren't going to split the cost with us anymore.
Okay.
And the cost of the toilets is not that expensive. It's $100 for your toilet for the 3 days, but it's cost $1,350 to get them brought in from Pasadena, right? So then that got to be a major expense for us on our own. So this morning, and I didn't know that until today, by the way. And so this morning I've been on the phone trying to make alternate arrangements, and I think, and I say I think, yes, we are going to use the bathroom facilities at the arena. And I talked to, well, I didn't talk to Stacy Pink, the chairperson, because he's out of town, but I talked to Darryl Mercer, who's the co-chair of the arena, well, the Recreation Commission. And I offered, I said, well, for $500, could we arrange to have the rest of the arena blocked off and just have access to the washrooms, right? For those, well, Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday. Really it's only 2 nights because Saturday night the dance is at the arena anyway, so it's going to be open, right? And that way, you know, it's cheaper for us. We don't have to pay $1,350, and the arena gets an extra $500. We always pay $500 to the recreation anyway because we've got the arena tied up in case. Well, we're going to use it on Saturday night. We may have to use it the whole festival if the weather doesn't cooperate. But anyway, Darryl thought it was a good idea, and I agreed to go by it on my way home from the park each night and just check that everybody was out and lock the doors and just put a sign up saying washrooms closed until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, it's not ideal. You don't have access to a washroom all the time, but you know, like those big campers that come in, they have their own bathroom facilities. So we may have, you know, 4 or 5 tents at the ball field area, and I can't. We can't justify, you know, $1,350, and actually that's without tax. So you're looking at over $1,400, you know, to bring those toilets in for 2 days, right? So hopefully it'll go smooth, and people will respect the fact that they're using our arena and they're, you know, won't damage anything, mark anything up or anything like that. I'm optimistic that everything will go well.
Well, that's good. Well, hopefully everything will go well.
Yes.
And hopefully we will have good weather.
Yes, and I should mention too, Hydro has agreed to put up the banner over the, you know, where you come into town in there. That's not up yet, but the banner's been taken into them and into the Hydro station. They're going to get it up sometime this week, and I'll encourage anybody around town who's got flags they want to string up or balloons or anything to make the town look festive. I'm out planting flowers, but that's why I have mud on my knees. But yeah, anything that, you know, to make the mood, you know, festive, excited, and it's a big time for our town, and so I'm glad to be a part of it, and I hope everything goes over well. So.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us, Doris.
Well, thank you, and I guess our next one will be after the Sand and Sea Festival. We'll be giving you an update on how things went. So.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm sure we'll learn from our mistakes, and
oh yeah,
and you know, but that's it. But I got the cake ordered, so that's one good thing.
There you go.
So everything else fails, we'll eat cake.
There you go. Okay, well, thanks so much.
Oh, thanks, Maxine.
The targeted initiative for older workers is well underway. The program has been ongoing for the past several weeks. The people that are involved with this program are lead instructor Mary Byrne, Essential Scale Instructor, Tanya Bissey, Knitting Traditional Newfoundland Craft, Maisie Morris, Landscape and Carpentry Trails Develop, Jiff Dicker, and Administrative Coordinator, Krista Standing. I was on site with those who are constructing the trail from Aaron's Arm to Sandbanks as they were making walkways and clearing paths.
Hello, Brian.
Hello.
Nice morning, all, Brian. Wait. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just cut the corner off.
You think that's easy work? Want to try it? Jesus Christ. Oh, there. Wait till it. Huh? Oh, I loves it. Well, I mean, front row, boys. Come on here. I for
I was also down to the Ground Search and Rescue building with those doing the knitting crafts. It was stated that some of those have never knitted before, but have now completed items. The knitting instructor, Maisie Morris, along with some of the students, showed me some of the items that have been done.
Okay, this is the set you knitted, was it, Louise?
This is what I knitted.
Louise has got knitters and
There you go. And this is what I knitted.
I don't know if they heard that.
Is that it, mine, right? Yes. Comes down like this. This is the knitted chemo hats. Okay, this is a chemo hat, and it's crocheted.
Okay.
And for any, or I guess you could use it for any kind of hat, but it's called a chemo hat. For anyone that has had cancer treatments and have lost their hair. So that would be a nice thing to wear then. And it's for a child. For anyone that has had cancer and those are the salt and pepper hats. These are children's salt and pepper hats. And this one Beatrice did. So Beatrice is doing a sweater to match. It's not finished yet. And this is the one that Bessie did. And is another one in another different color that Louise did. And they have their dishcloths. Nice little stack of dishcloths. And these are children's slippers, different colors. So they got quite a little stash already. Yeah, the street's on a little bit of a week now.
Also, while I was there, Mary Byrne, the lead instructor, explained what has been happening.
There were two instructors, myself, Mary Byrne, and Tanya Bessie. Tanya lives here in Burgeo, so it was nice to have somebody local working with the students. We have 20 students in the program, and they've all been very responsive to the program. It's been excellent, and for a lot of people, they'll be getting a certificate from the College of the North Atlantic. Well, they will all get a certificate from the College of the North Atlantic, and for most, it's probably a first college certificate that they've ever received. So it's quite a great program. They've learned a lot. Over here we have 10 computer stations set up, and We have 10 computer stations set up. This is a partnership with the College of the North Atlantic and the town of Burgeo and Service Canada and Human Resources, Labour Employment. So what we have is 10 computer stations that have been part of the contribution from the College of the North Atlantic. Again, a lot of people have never turned on a computer before, and even now we're finding that when we take a break here in the classroom, people are often going over to the computer and they've learned to Google and they've learned to Facebook and email and things like that. So we've given them basic skills on the computers. Keyboarding wasn't our main focus. Our main focus was giving people an opportunity to learn what a computer is all about and not to be afraid of it anymore. So we've been successful with that. Tanya actually did most of the computer training, actually all of the computer training, and it was quite successful. The first 4 weeks we did basic skills. We had several presentations in the classroom. We had people come in to speak to students about interview process. We've done some resume work. We've done reading, writing, math, thinking skills, basic skills. And we did many programs of certificate programs such as emergency first aid. They've done WIMIS. They're trained in WIMIS. And occupational health and safety, we've had some presentations on that as well. So they're gaining quite a number of skills. So the students that have gone out to work on the trail, for example, have all been trained in first aid. So in the event that there is an accident or anything occurs out there, they'll be able to take care of it. So it's been a great program so far. We have 6 weeks of training now following. First 4 weeks was essential skills. The 6 weeks of training at the moment, the students here are learning different styles of knitting. They're learning abbreviations. They're learning what it's all about. We will be getting into some different styles of knitting, such as mask felting, making Newfoundland thrum knit products, and so on. So that's coming. We're still in the basic skills stage. And following this 10-week period of training with the college, the town of Burgeo will then take over the project, and the 20 students here will become employees of the town of Burgeo, and they will work for a further 11 weeks. So the trail will be developed hopefully by that time, and at that point all of the items that are being made here by the ladies will be given to the Burgeo Museum for sale at the museum, and the money will be reinvested in the town. So it's been a very worthwhile project. We College of North Atlantic has been, we're really proud to be a part of this project. Because of the success of this one to date, we're really hoping to partner with the town of Burgeo and any other community in the region that would like to put forward a proposal. Ramia, Grey River, any of those places, we'd be more than happy to come and to work with you to do another training program, because skills-based is what it's all about.
During the summer months, the Recreation Commission has hired 4 students who have set up a sports camp for the children. These students are Nolan Short for SWAS, Reggie Merzen and Vanessa Ann for Canada Summer Job, and Kelly Sims for the Level 1, 2, and 3 student job. On an average, about 10 to 11 students participate. This particular day, they were playing a bit of basketball. Mayor Jerome McDowell came by the studio with his town council report.
Good evening. Your town council report for July the 21st. The water treatment plant. Work at the water treatment plant has been progressing very well. Contractors and technicians have been on site, solving any problem that may occur, and hopefully all the deficiencies will be solved in the near future. But in the meantime, we are receiving good clean water. The ozone system is working. Water is being pumped in the tank and from the tank to the community. And everyone should notice they have clean water coming through their taps. I think it was the last part of June, the flow rate at the water treatment plant was less than 100 gallons per minute, which is extremely well. Compared to what we were doing last winter, we were up to 700 gallons a minute. And I guess we've got to ask ourselves the question, why is we up to 700 gallons a minute when in June we can come down to 100 gallons a minute? No doubt the town is, any leakage around town, we have worked and rectified those problems. And what we have to do is prepare for the winter, so hopefully people was taking what we've been saying seriously. I know some people have already put in new water lines, put them down deeper, insulated pipes. There's work being done. A lot of residents is taking advantage of it right now. And for those who haven't, we still encourage them to insulate their pipes, put soil on top of their water lines, make sure they're down below the freezing level so they won't have to run the water come next winter. And that's the only way we can see that we're going to receive clean, clear drinking water 12 months a year, is that people maintain their lines so they won't have to run water to stop freezing. Also, there's been 4 samples of water taken and taken to Deer Lake and fled out to Bedford, Nova Scotia for testing. We don't have the results of those tests at this time, but when they become available, we shall let you know. The flyer that I spoke about in my last report has gone to the printers to be printed, and once that's printed, that will be placed in your mailbox for you to read. So hopefully we can start the 90-day trial in the near future, but nevertheless, it doesn't cost us any money while this is going on. And if we start the 90-day test period, and we go for 20 days and there's a problem, then we go back to day 1 and start all over again. So it's not costing us any money, and as long as we can get good, clean drinking water and keep our flow rates down throughout the winter months, then I think this system could work very well. So it's up to us now to make it work, and I think we can do it. On your waste management, the pilot project that we've been telling you about has went ahead and is completed, and the project went very well. Very minor problems that was identified can be rectified easily. I guess the most important thing now is we're waiting for the cost of that transportation to come in. Once that comes in, we'll make a decision whether we're going to continue or go elsewhere or do something else with our garbage. Obviously, the incinerator is not a good option, and hopefully we can dismantle that and clean up that site. But it's all going to depend on the cost of that trial run that was done recently. And we will keep you updated on that. The TIOW project is going quite well, and according to the employees that I talked to that work there, everyone enjoys working there and progress is being made. I haven't been on the site myself, but I plan to go there next on Monday if I'm in town. And if this proves out to be a success, well, then we will apply for other projects in the future. The TIOW coordinator, Mrs. Krista Stanling, has spent the last weekend in St. John's doing a course. And this course, of course, was covered by the TIOW program. In other words, it's no cost to the town. So Krista has completed her course and back on the job on Monday morning. The Coastal Habitat Stewardship Agreement that we mentioned there on the council report The agreement official signing will take place on Wednesday, July the 28th, here in Burgeo. Time 12 p.m. at the Fire Hall, and this is for a public gathering. If anyone want to come, we encourage you to come. Mr. Hid Buckingham, the MHA for St. John's East, will be here. The minister, Mrs. Charlene Johnson, couldn't make it. She sent in her parliamentary secretary, which is Mr. Hid Buckingham, and he'll be here to sign the Coastal Habitat Stewardship Agreement. Also, Jonathan Sharp from Newfoundland and Labrador. He's the Newfoundland and Labrador Program Manager for the Eastern Habitat Joint Venture, and he'll be here as well. So that signing will take place at the Fire Hall on Wednesday at 12 p.m. And it will also give us an opportunity where Mr. Buckingham is secretarial to Charlene Johnson, who is the Minister of Environment and Conservation. It will give us an opportunity to get a few words with Mr. Buckingham concerning other environmental problems that we have identified in our community. The Joseph Small Diary. Some time ago in the council report, I told you that the Joseph Small Diary was accepted and placed in the archives at the rooms in St. John's, and they were going to send 2 copies to the town. We have received those 2 copies, along with a copy of a CD of the diary, and 1 copy of the diary will be placed in our museum, and the other one at the town hall for safekeeping. This is a very important document. It's a lot of history of our community there, and it's something good to maintain for future generations. Husky Oil that I mentioned in my last report was going to take up seismic work in the Laurentian Channel just south of Burgeo. That work has been completed, and the ship is en route to Labrador to do more seismic work in that area. But I guess the most important thing that we're concerned about now is the seismic work that has been done, the results of that, and if they prove to be positive, then we will continue to lobby for a base here, a supply base here in our community once the haul rig goes on site in that area. Canada Day celebrations. Canada Day celebrations was organized by our 50-plus seniors club, Mr. Owen Marston, chair of that club, and music was provided by A&A Disco as well. And I want to thank this organization for what they've done here, because Canada Day is a very important day in our history, and we should never forget that day. I think the 50-plus club showed a leadership role in our community by taking on this responsibility. And I certainly want to commend and thank them for doing that. Also on Canada Day, it gives us a chance to remember our fallen soldiers and the wars, World War I and II that was fought, and the Battle of Beaumont Hamel, conflicts around the world where our men and women in uniform today go to try and bring peace and protect our country, Canada. And of course that triggers down the line by protecting your community. And this is something that our younger generation has got to be educated more about, I believe. And also on Canada Day, at the museum, Mrs. June Iscock and the museum committee, they held celebrations at the museum for people to drop by and take a look at the archives and part of their history in the community, and they also had a cake there as well, and just something to celebrate Canada Day. And that was greatly appreciated by all that attended. And of course, there was cake at Sandbanks as well on Canada Day. And I believe, and I don't want to repeat myself, but the importance of this day has got to continue. And I believe our kids has got to be educated in the school to certainly respect and honor this day, because the men and women that gave the supreme sacrifice is for what we see today, the peace and the freedom that we have in our country today, in our communities. Physically challenged. I haven't talked about that for a while. I talked to Mrs. Susan Gillum. She's the CEO of Western Elf, concerning the physically challenged in our community and what we were looking for. And I think we're on the right track. I had a long conversation with her on the telephone, and she's very interested in what our discussions surrounded. And I mentioned to her the minister the letter that we received from Mrs. Joan Burke. She was very supportive of it. And of course, we will keep you updated on this, but I believe this is moving in the right direction, and it might take a little while. Nothing happens fast because it takes time to get replies from letters and phone calls, and decisions got to be made down the line. It takes time, but I'm confident that this is on the right track and is going to produce results at the end of the day. We will keep you updated on that. Council received a request from the Girl Guides looking for a green space for them to develop, and I think that's very important coming from the youth of our community. A green space, it's very nice to see. It helps to beautify the community, and we certainly agree to identify a green space for them. They need it by the fall to develop, and Council have agreed to look for a green space for the Girl Guide movement. Also, the playground area, nets have been replaced on the basketball court as of today. New nets have been replaced, and we're in the progress of doing some renovations or work on the playground. We have several things in mind, and hopefully we can accomplish that this year. Upgrades, I guess, to the playground. And the tennis court is presently under painting. If the weather permits, the old paint has been scrubbed off the slab, and waiting for the weather permit to put new paint on it. But we're doing some work on the playground, and I think it will be appreciated by all who will use it. Building committee. There were 2 building applications approved. One to construct a 8x12 shed extension, one to construct a 8x12 dwelling extension. The policy committee is still working on council's policies. There's a lot of policies that they have to go through, and some changes that's been made in the policies, plus we brought in new policies. There's a lot of things to look at, a lot of reading to go through. Like, for example, our dog policy, cat policy, which we didn't have, so we're going to bring in a cat policy as well. Our snow clearing policy has to be overviewed. Even the duties of employees, the policy has to be put in place. ATV skidoos and free flow of water. There's a lot of things to be looked at, so the policy committee has been hard to work at that. And once that gets completed, I suspect it'll be by the fall. The chair of the policy committee will come here on BBS and outline the changes to council's policy. Council has hired 1 student for 4 weeks, a total of 80 hours under the 1-2-3 student program. And the Tidy Towns judges will arrive in Burgeo on July the 30th, that's next Friday, to judge our community under the Tidy Towns. So I encourage everybody to clean up their properties, pick up any garbage that you see around, cut the grass if the weather permits, and make our town beautiful as we can, and trying to keep it that way. We do have a lot of tourists coming into town now, and I think our town should be clean at all times. So especially in the summer, once the snow is gone, we get an opportunity to do it. But I've traveled around a lot of communities, and my opinion is that ours is next to none in terms of cleanness around the community. But from time to time, the wind do blow stuff around out of garbage cans, and it do get around, and we have to try and clean it up and maintain that for the summer months. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank Mrs. Joan Melbourne for planting flowers around town. That woman is dedicated to what she do there, and the council certainly appreciates it. It's nice to see some of the work she's done, planting flowers, and we show appreciation to Mrs. Melbourne, and we want to thank her very much for that. It helps to beautify the community. Sewer backup. Council has been having problems in the Mississippi area with the sewer line for a number of years. Once a year for quite some time now, that sewer line blocks off. And unfortunately, it happened again a couple of weeks ago. Once that blocks off, it creates a problem for everybody who's got sewer on that line. And it also creates a problem for the town. One individual in particular, we received a letter from this individual. The sewer backup overflows on his property, which is not very nice. And council have looked at this and decided that next year we definitely got to do something about it. But in the meantime, to solve the problem this year, we had to get parties' waste out, and it cost the town $3,500 to get that problem rectified. And a lot of the problem was caused by people throwing fat down the sink. And I mentioned on the council report last winter, I think, in another area there was fat going down the sink. And that's the main cause of that blockage in that sewer line, is fat going down the sink. So, you know, it's something that people should not do. And I say to you, please put your fat in the garbage container and not down the sink, because it creates a problem all the way around. So what we're planning to do in that area is under our Capital Works, which we have a meeting next Wednesday night to deal with Capital Works issues, and that will be one of the things that will be put in place for next year to install a larger sewer line and a better drainage in that area. It's very unfortunate that this happens and creates problems for people, but if fat was put in the garbage instead of the sink, it would certainly eliminate a lot of those problems. Museum Committee. Mrs. June Iscock organized a 2-hour concert with Mr. Ronald Dunford performing. He was playing guitar and accordion and singing Newfoundland, country, and Irish songs, and I attended it myself, and it was certainly worthwhile to sit there and just listen, relax, and listen to some of the songs that he played and sung. And I want to congratulate him for that as well, and I'd like to thank June for organizing this event, and it's something that should continue in the future. It's very interesting when you can sit and relax and listen to somebody sing those songs, and I must say it was a full house there that night, and well appreciated. So thank you very much, June and the committee. Recreational food fishery. Now, as you're aware, the recreational food fishery opens this weekend, and I just want to point out the importance of safety, and safety is the most important thing that I think about all the time. When you go out on the water, if you decide to go out on the water, be sure that you carry your proper flotation, cell phone, and the proper equipment aboard your boat. Depending on the size of your boat, it requires different equipment. And be safe. Watch that forecast. We know how quick the wind can come on. We seen it there last night in town. And I just want to stress the importance of safety. We certainly don't want no tragedies in this community if it can be avoided. So just pay attention and play it safe. The other thing I want to mention, if you get involved with the food fishery, now over the years I've been placing tags on fish, and up to this point in time I got around 30 to 50,000 tags placed on fish from Labrador to Ramya. If you're lucky enough to catch one of those fish with a tag on it, please return it. You can return it to a DFO, or you can return it to me and I'll send it off for you. And the yellow tag, a single yellow tag, is worth $10. Some fish have a double tag on the back, which would give you $20. And some fish have a pink tag on the back, which would give you $100. Also, the fish with the double tag on the back, possibility you might have a pinger in the stomach. And those pingers would give you an extra $25. And it's very important that if you retrieve some of this, tags or pingers, you return them to a DFO or myself, because it's used to track migration and growth rate of fish. And a lot of those tags that I have placed have been caught and returned. Like, for example, fish tagged in Burgeo been retrieved in Labrador. Fish tagged in Burn Islands have been retrieved in Placentia Bay. So we track the migration rate of the fish, and the tag, once the tag is placed on the fish is measured. So if it's caught 2 or 3 years from that, then we get the growth rate of the fish. So it's very important. If you are fortunate enough to catch one of those, just return the tag and the pinger, and you will be rewarded. So be careful, play it safe on your foot fishery. The Salmon Sea will hold their 16th festival this week coming, and it will start with the opening ceremonies on Thursday at 1:30 p.m. I want to encourage everybody to get involved with the activities the Salmon Sea Committee has planned for you this year. Make it an enjoyable one, and also we would like to see it be a successful one like it has been in the past years. And to our visitors and tourists who is visiting the community, I noticed there's a lot around, and we've received at the office a lot of calls from tourists, and we welcome them in our community. And I just want to say, while you're in the community of Burgeo, have a very enjoyable time and take in the events that our Salmon Sea Festival has planned. So enjoy your stay here in our community. July the 21st meeting, Council approved for payment invoices in the amount of $26,370.11. And little did you know that in 1845, the population from Cape Ray, that's just a little west of Port aux Basques, to Cape Lahone, which is east of Burgeo, there were 1,828 people living there, and that's a little history to think about. And that's it for this report. Until the next time, be safe, good night, and may God bless.
This concludes our program for tonight. Thank you for watching. Good night.